Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Domains. Happy Cyber Monday, everybody.
I love it. Cyber Monday.
Does anyone have the stats on Cyber Mondays in the domain universe?
It's funny. Cyber Monday, Julie, way back before you were born, Cyber Monday was very important.
It still is. It still is.
But the reason it was so important back in the day was that most people had a 2400 baud plug-in modem at their house, which could send about 12 bits per minute. And that was good enough for email and maybe AOL. But at work, you had the high-powered internet. You had the cable internet. And so you were at home for Thanksgiving weekend, and then you got back to the office on Monday, and that's where Cyber Monday came from.
I always wondered why it wasn't until Monday.
And that's because you got back into the office, and even though you were supposed to be hard at work, mostly you were taking advantage of the Cyber Monday deals offered to you because you were back at a high-speed computer. You could shop and look at different items, and and
I guess I didn't know you guys had the online shopping that long ago. So
yes. So it was, and believe me, if you've ever had the experience, to even go back further, the idea of a web page. One of the reasons the internet works is because a web page is a bunch of data. It can get set up into little bits, and slowly it's sent through the wires. And that's why sometimes in the old days you'd see a site load, and then a couple things would load, and then a couple things would load, and a couple things would load, because it's kind of like, hey, we're getting all the band back together. You know what I mean? Yeah. And each one of those little packets of information was going through the wires of the internet, but it was all going to the same thing. And that's why the domain name system was really important. Is you wouldn't want, if it was your body, you wouldn't want your arm to be going to one domain name address and your other arm to be going to another domain name.
That doesn't sound very fun.
So yeah, so that's the background behind Cyber Monday, was that you had a high-speed connection at work, and you would use that to do more effective shopping. So you had to have your own deals. Black Friday was in person, and then Cyber Monday was when you got back to work.
I kind of am sad that I, missed the era of the crazy Black Friday shopping, because like I was grown during that, but wasn't grown enough to have adult money and make adult purchases. So and nowadays people just do it all on Cyber Monday. So I'm kind of sad that I missed the chaos of Black Friday, but Cyber Monday.
I think culturally too, it used to be, back before things are relatively good in our economy. They have been the last 20 years, where you can buy what you want all year round. We're not as much, maybe way back in the dinosaur days when I was a kid, where really Christmas was the time you got something, you know what I mean? But I think now it's kind of Black Friday all year long. But anyway, in the domain space, Cyber Monday is big. Had some big deals out there today. I've been buying domains from name.com at $4.90 or $4.49, which is about half price. So I've got till midnight Mountain Time, I think. Do your own research, but I think that's when it ends.
Your own research. Do not make financial decisions on what we say.
In case it's 8 p.m. and you say, oh, you said it was midnight. But anyway, I think hopefully when we're done with the show, I'll be. And I've got a list. And then the other thing that I'll shop, just to give you some advice with my different things, is I'll shop what I consider to be domains that are usually purpose domains that I think always could be valuable and should be taken. And when I think about that, I think about city names. And if you search the top 8,000 cities in the US, they're all taken. But you'll never know if they're all taken unless you look for them. So you found a good registriar where you can search for 1,000 at a time, and it takes 8 times, and most likely they're all going to be taken. But there's only one way to check, is to find out. So the other thing I might do is I might pick some categories I like I put the word my before the city, my Nashville, my Florida, and that's a good substitute maybe for having a city domain name.
Okay.
Okay.
If you were selling those, how much would you knock off the price on the value?
Oh, well, a city domain name is going to go for maybe 10 cents a person of population. So things like
we have a mathematical
Houston.
formula for domain purchasing?
No, but some geodomainers tried to get that. But that was back in the day when they were rocking. Raleigh just sold for, I think, 600,000. Houston was for sale for 450, but those were 3 and 4 million back in the day.
Right.
So they've really come down. But I think, say it was a city like Nashville. So Nashville.com is actually an operating business. It's probably worth $10-20 million because it's a business. It's not just a domain. They sell tickets, they sell houses. I mean, they really rock. But my Nashville could be a $5, $10, $20,000 name to somebody, especially if they couldn't get Nashville.com.
Okay.
And at the same point, some people may say, I wouldn't pay $200 for that domain name.
Well, we're not
and
selling
that's the world of domain names. Is we don't know how much they're worth, and then we don't know how much we should pay for them, even if we knew how much they were worth. You know what I mean? Like if you said, okay, my Nashville, you can ask 10,000 for that. But when's it going to sell? No idea. Sometime in the next 1 to 15 years. So then you're like, okay, say I thought it was worth that. What should I pay to be in the position of holding it? And that's where domain valuation, I think, misses the mark in a lot of ways. Because if you give me a list of domains that were sold by brokers to end users for full price, then that's one level. And then if you give me domains that were sold at auction among us savvy speculators, that's going to be a lot lower price. But if you mix them in together and then you ask the public, and they're like say a name like My Nashville, say it came for sale on NameJet and it went for 2,000, but then someone sold it in a year for 100,000. So look what we're telling the public. It's worth anywhere between 2,000 and 100,000. You know, it's
maybe the worth is what you're willing to put into the name to get a certain price out of it.
Well, and it's how you value money, because when you buy a domain name, like right now, there's a domain name for sale, directions.com.
Oh, good name.
And it's actually been syndicated into little shares.
Yeah. How does that work?
So I've been hoping it would happen for the last 20 years, but it's only happened to 4 domain names. But one of them is directions.com at a company called Rally Road. And Rally Road sells all kinds of collectibles, rare bottles of scotch, Henry Aaron baseball cards, Babe Ruth signed baseballs, original video games of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, where they're worth 30, 40, 50,000. Rare cars. So they've got a lot of experience taking these rare collectibles and splitting it up into little pieces. But the reason I brought it up is it's a good illustration. So right now, if you go to Rally Road and you look at the domain name directions.com, now you could say, oh, I think directions.com is $1 million name. Or maybe it's a $500,000 name, or maybe it's $2 million, or maybe it's $350,000. You don't know until a buyer comes and wants to use it and has to evaluate how much money they're going to make for their enterprise more by having the name directions.com. And if they're raising $30 million, say, to fund a startup, and they think they can raise $35 million for the same price if they had directions.com, then you could say the name's worth, $3 to $5 million. But here's the thing. The shares of it trade right now at about 30% of the starting value of 90,000, or they trade as if the name is worth 40,000.
So you're getting the name for cheaper because it's shared?
Because you don't know when you're going to be able, you don't know when the sale's going to happen for the big price. Say you're buying a share on Robinhood.
You buy a share of it, you're not buying a share as in like operating 30% of the business. You're buying a share in whenever it sells.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
But because there's no public market. What's that?
It's like if me and you bought a house.
Yeah.
We didn't buy a business. We bought a house. We make no decisions on the house. We sit there and wait for the house to sell.
Right. But most of the time, because there's a really liquid market for houses, like say you're going to buy a house and it's worth $800,000 and you could buy it for $750,000. You know, you could probably always sell it for $700,000 to one of those, we'll buy your house today. You know what I mean? Because it's a liquid market. In domains, you could pay $100,000 for a domain, and if you had to sell it tomorrow, people may go, I'll just give you 25. And you can't be like, well, there's someone else that'll give me 50. You're like, okay, go sell to them. And so we have such an illiquid market. But what I mean to say is like directions, because I was looking at whether to buy more shares today. Do your own research. This is not investment advice. But so right now you can buy little shares of directions.com for a $40,000 valuation. So say you pay $4 a share. And you could sell them the next day maybe, and the price will go between $350 and $450. You know what I mean? And people are waiting. But when someone does come along and buy it for $500,000, then the shares are going to be worth $20 a share.
Right.
But you don't know when. But at least you have liquidity for your shares at some level. And so that's where a lot of the new initiatives next year in 2025, I think, are going to bring this.
Talking about doing that. Like whenever I first got into domains, it was in my old apartment. And I think that is one way to really get the younger generation into it. Because right now, to buy a solid name, you've got to have $1 million laying around. And this is
you're used to being able to trade like a meme coin or a crypto or a stock. And if tonight you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, you know, I just bought mynashville.com. I just bought a share of mynashville.com at a $10,000 valuation. It's going to be awesome. And then tomorrow you're like, I wish I didn't do that. You could probably sell your share for like 90% of what you paid for it. You know what I mean? But you're like, that's okay. At least I could get something out of it. So people are used to that liquidity, and we don't offer that in domaining. Now, because we don't offer that, we also offer these exponential returns. Hey, I just sold a name, Ishmaeli, friend of the show, put on Twitter today. He bought a name for a reg fee like 4 weeks ago and sold it for $4,000. You know what I mean? So he turned $10 into $4,000. So we have these exponential, amazing type of returns, and yet we don't have liquidity. So that's the maturity. But anyway, Cyber Monday deals. Name.com was good. But also Freename, our sponsor. Thank you, Freename, for sponsoring Monday Night Domains. They have a special right now, which is the highest I've ever seen them have, which is 60% off. And that's what you'll see companies do on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, is the largest sale of the year. So right now, what that means is if you buy a Web3 domain, which again only works on people that have the Freename DNS system hooked up, but you can still say you own it. It's a digital identity. I'm pagehow.v. I'm endless.summer. I'm myphonenumber.digits. You know, there's a lot of parts of the value of domain name that you're never going to build a website. You just want to be able to say you have it. You know what I mean? And but anyway, right now you can shop online. If you spend at least $300 at freename.io, you get 60% off.
Pretty good.
And that code is,
just names.
let me see what that code is. Hold on. I think I sent myself the code. The code is, hold please.
Holding.
Okay, now come on. Did I send you a copy? No?
I don't think so.
All right, hold on. For tonight, 60% off. There we go. All right, use code CW60.
I put it in the comment section of our YouTube channel. They won't let me comment to Twitter or Facebook, but they're on YouTube. So if you guys...
I'll put it on Twitter. But what that means, the other thing that you can do with Freename is .com and .net and .org and those things. Those are called top-level domains. And to be in the public route, the ICANN route, the one that we all can see, it costs maybe millions of dollars. But a lot of people are like, well, why can't we have our own, even if we just operate our own private TLD on certain networks? And so that's what you get at Freename when you get your own TLD. And those are 60% off too. as well as the fact that if you buy the royalties program for $50, then you get half the revenue from selling domains on your TLD. And I believe even the purchase of the royalty program is $50 off. So you have to combine your spend for $300 to get 60% off. First step is to open an account at freename.io. You can buy a domain name, meaning a left of the dot and a right of the dot, in one of the TLDs, either mine, like .v or .summer or things like that. .metaverse is a good one. .usa is one I really like. .china, .india. And so those are domain names where you're buying, or you can buy a TLD and you can search and say, I want to buy .shopping, or I want to buy .dresses, or something like that. Now, they don't sell any TLDs that conflict with those that are on ICANN. So all theirs are separate. It's like a separate universe. It's like Netflix. When Netflix came out, they weren't on your cable system. You had to download an app to be able to see all the Netflix content. So this is the same way. The users of your TLD space download an app, the Freename DNS, and then they're able to see your whole universe. And the reason I don't think that's as big as a barrier as people want to say it is you're going to have to market anyway on Twitter, on Instagram, on social media to tell people about your TLD anyway. So telling them that step one is to download the DNS, compared to the fact that you're not having to pay millions of dollars, you're not having to offer it through every registriar in the world because they have their monopolies. You're regulated by a bunch of rules. And I think those rules are great for the public internet, the internet we all use. This internet that we're on right here on Restream.io. You know what I mean? And so it's good that those are slow moving, regulated, everything. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to have innovation, creativity, and I just want to own my own TLD. And so anyway, Freename CW60, 60% off Cyber Monday. And I think we'll end with that, Julie.
Yeah, sorry guys, I've been driving for 7 hours today, so we're on a little bit of a short show. But I hope everyone has a wonderful Cyber Monday. Feel free to post the names you're selling this week in the comments below. And we'll see you guys same time next week for Monday Night Domains.
And post, if you do buy a TLD, post it in the comments, and maybe I'll check out your TLD and buy a couple domains in it.
I like it. I like it,
friends.